4. The mad truth about the mad. If the mad is so dangerous for our health and the health of our planet, why do we continue to eat this way? Part of the strong allure to our industrial food system is its convenience, a factor that has greatly contributed to its global success. In the 20th century, as more and more women went to work outside the home, foods that required the least amount of time to prepare found a ready and willing market. Many of us today lead incredibly busy lives, and food preparation is often the first part of our schedules that is sacrificed in light of other demands on our time. Buying your food at a farmer's market and coming home to prepare a meal does take significantly longer than heating up a prepackaged box meal in the microwave. This mealtime expediency has allowed many of us to advance other aspects of our lives. As sustainable food activist Orrin B. Hesterman of the Fair Food Network explains, by placing food production in the hands of roughly 2% of the population, the other 98% have had the freedom to specialize, which has contributed to the development of fields such as technology, medicine, and education. Nevertheless, the convenience generated by the industrialization of our food system comes at a great cost, our physical and mental health as well as the health of our planet. In 1937, George Orwell said, "We may find in the long run that tinned food is a deadlier weapon than the machine gun." Unfortunately, as chronic diet-related illnesses such as type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease have become two of the leading causes of death in our world today, Orwell's words seem prophetic. Cheap food, a modern mirage. The price tag on real whole foods such as pasture-raised chickens and organically grown fruit and vegetables is in many cases higher than the artificial foods that characterize the Western diet. However, the truth is that none of us can afford the true price of following the mad. Its low cost is a dangerous illusion. When I walk down the aisle in my neighborhood grocery store, I do not see cheap breakfast cereals, meats, dairy products, chips, and snacks of all shapes and sizes. I see the annual healthcare costs, now estimated to be over $100 billion, of obesity-related illnesses, which is predicted to rise to over $283 billion by 2020. I see the annual $245 million cost of diabetes in America, which is steadily increasing. I see the billions of dollars of food and water waste across the globe. I see the environmental costs of industrial food production, which costs taxpayers billions of dollars each year. I see the cost to many farmers who can no longer compete in such an industrial system of food production, compelling them to sell their farms to meet their debts, while some farmers have even decided to end their lives. I see the cost imposed on future generations, who will inherit a broken food system and an unhealthy planet. I see the cost to our integrity as human beings, indeed as Christians, as we support a food system that allows millions of people to die of obesity, malnutrition, or starvation while we misuse God's earth. There is no such thing as cheap food. Fighting for a better meal. I do understand and fully appreciate that millions of people cannot afford real whole foods, which is one of the principal tragedies of our dysfunctional food system, a system that has forgotten to feed people well. There certainly are a number of amazing individuals out there fighting for the right of all people to have access to real whole foods. In New York, a teacher in the Bronx named Stephen Ritz began growing healthy foods in his classroom, teaching low-income children from broken neighborhoods the skills to create new green graffiti. Ron Finley, who calls himself the guerrilla gardener, started growing organic foods for his South Central Los Angeles neighborhood, which is a federally recognized food desert. There is no fresh produce available in the immediate vicinity. My eldest daughter volunteers in a food desert in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, where a dilapidated football field has been transformed into an organic farm, After supermarket vendors refused to establish a grocery store in the area since they would not be able to earn enough money, under the management of Elizabeth Hernandez. Indeed, the farm supplies vegetables to local farmers markets and restaurants, including one of our favorite places to eat in Dallas, Cafe Momentum. The restaurant's executive chef, Chad Hauser, takes former juvenile offenders and trains them to become chefs, truly embodying the spirit of their motto: eat, drink, change lives. On alternate Saturdays, my daughter also volunteers at a farm that supplies both Cafe Momentum and our own CSA, Happy Trails Farm, which is run by Fina Longoria Johnson, her husband Larry, and her daughter-in-law Jessica Longoria. Stephen Ritz, Ron Finley, Elizabeth Hernandez, Chad Hauser, Fina Longoria Johnson, Larry Johnson, and Jessica Longoria. These are the true everyday heroes of the sustainable food movement. And you can be one too. In the end, unless we all collectively participate in recreating the way we grow and eat our food, we will have a system that continues to choose disease and death over life. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. We all have to fight, in whatever way we can, for a better meal, since we all deserve to eat real food that nourishes us. The United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, states that everyone ought to have the ability to choose a healthy, wholesome way of eating insofar as they have a right to a healthy, wholesome life. If God feeds the birds of the air, how much more does he care for our nourishment as his children? Matthew chapter 6, verse 26. This right should not be denied by large corporations eager to maintain the goodwill of their shareholders, nor should it be denied by government officials eager to maintain the goodwill and financial support of large corporations. Our food crisis is principally a matter of the dignity of each human being on this planet, of every member of God's creation. Many of us can afford to purchase more real whole foods from local producers who are truly attempting to create a sustainable food system. In the United States in particular, people spend less money on food than the rest of the developed world, around 13.2% of their income, while it is estimated that 90% of the average American food budget is spent on highly refined and processed foodstuffs. In 2011, Americans spent $117 billion on fast food, $65 billion on soft drinks, $17 billion on video games, $5 billion on ringtones, and $310 million on pet Halloween costumes, just to name a few categories. These statistics are shocking eye-openers, calling for us all to take personal responsibility. And according to the Centers for Disease Control, income status is not a determinant of fast food purchases in the United States. People do not just buy fast food because that is all they can afford. If we value our health and the health of our beautiful planet and all its inhabitants, why are we not willing to pay a little more for nutritionally dense, wholesome foods by budgeting elsewhere? Is our well-being and the well-being of future generations not worth giving up that large soda and cheeseburger or dressing up our dog as a fairy on October 31st? Vote with your forks and votes. It is essential that we not only vote with our votes to demand official changes in food policy and support government officials who are trying to change our current food system, but also vote with our forks. Every time we buy food, we support the system that produced it, contributing to its perpetuation. As sustainable food activist Ellen Gustafson highlights in We the Eaters, if we change dinner, we can change the world. As consumers, we have the ability to demand better food production, both for ourselves and for the rest of the planet, through refusing to buy products that are destructive to our health and the health of the communities that produce them. When we buy fair trade chocolate, we tell chocolate companies that it is not acceptable to use cocoa beans harvested by child slavery, and that we cannot wait until 2020 to end this travesty. When we buy at farmers markets that sell local and organically produced foods, we tell food corporations and our government that creating healthy, ecologically friendly communities is more important than convenient, cheap, and unhealthy food. That we and every other person in the world should have access to fresh, whole foods, and that we do not support the vast amounts of waste that result from our current food system. Businesses cannot thrive if we do not purchase their products. As consumers, we can communicate our wishes through our pocketbooks. In fact, this consumer demand for more natural foods is the main reason why Walmart has more and more organic options in their stores, and Whole Foods is continually increasing their number of locally produced items. Our consumer dollars are the main reason that many countries have banned the use of growth hormones in industrial meat production, or the use of pink slime, meat processed and treated with ammonia. We collectively, one person at a time, have the power to change the world by changing what we eat, and gradually make healthier foods more accessible for more people. I would go even further. As Christians, it is a way for us to communicate that our God is love, a way for us to be a shining light in this world by demanding products that respect His beloved creation. Matthew chapter 5, verse 16.